I read something truly profound. Someone described their reaction to this book as standing ovulation, or whatever they say these days. Standing ovulation.
Right? Visceral response, apparently, noted by one reader. We are, I believe, attempting to discuss the book Phantasma by Kaylie Smith today on Heartbook Radio.
Attempting is the operative word. Because this thing, it's like someone threw the Hunger Games, a haunted house ride from Disney World, and maybe a particularly aggressive episode of Danny Phantom into a blender with questionable wiring. That's what the readers are saying. Not me. Well, mostly not me.
The general consensus from the notes I have here suggests it's a gothic paranormal romantasy. Set in New Orleans, there's a necromancer protagonist, Ophelia Grimm, entering a deadly competition called Phantasma, held in a haunted manor. 9 trials, circles of hell theme, wish from the devil prize. She's trying to save her sister Genevieve.
Save her sister. Or, as one particularly astute reader pointed out, spend the whole time getting, and I quote, dicked down by a phantom. Because priorities, apparently. That's a direct quote from a reader reaction. Don't look at me like that.
Yes, the romance element between Ophelia and the Phantom, Blackwell, was a significant point of discussion and division. Quite stark division, actually. Some readers found the chemistry and banter exceptional. Quotes like squealing, addicting af, "This man was down bad and I loved every second of it."
Down bad, capital letters. You can feel the desperation, but then flip the coin, and you get the other side screaming, insta-lust. Way too fast. One poor soul just wailed how, why, apparently, the emotional intimacy was missing for them. Just, poof, love. In roughly 9 or 10 days, amidst mortal peril. Seems efficient, if nothing else.
Efficient. An interesting descriptor for falling in love during what sounds like a series of terrifying trials. The timeline was certainly a sticking point for critics of the romance arc. It felt, quote, insta-lovey to several.
Insta-lovey. Like instant coffee. But potentially more disappointing depending on the brand. And speaking of disappointment, or perhaps profound shock, the ending. Oh, the ending. People were either yawning, saw it coming a mile away, or their jaws were, and I quote directly from a reader's testimony, on the motherfucking ground.
Yes, the ending twist seems to have elicited strong reactions. Evil plot twist, one reader lamented. Another stated they had to stop, mouth open, utterly bewildered, never saw that coming. Yet others felt the foreshadowing was, quote, heavy-handed, making it predictable, especially for seasoned readers of the genre.
Seasoned readers. Like they're salting their Kindles. Ah yes, another predictable twist, past the paprika. But the ones who were shocked. Holy moly, one exclaimed. Another simply said, whoa. You can feel the brain short-circuiting there. Beautiful.
It does present a contradiction. How can something be both blindingly obvious and utterly shocking? Curious. Perhaps it depends on whether the reader was distracted by other elements, such as the main character, Ophelia Grimm herself. She seems to be quite the lightning rod.
Lightning rod. She's a full-blown weather system. Readers called her my girl, that girl strong, sarcastic, praised her for standing up for herself. They loved the OCD representation, called it incredible stellar. Related to her fears, found her growth moving.
And yet, others described her as annoying, a bit of a bitcherking, making stupid, rash decisions, all over the place, moody and angry, and, quote, insufferable. One reader specifically noted, she is also not a girl's girl. Her attitude towards one of the female participants is beyond appalling.
Not a girl's girl. The horror. But wait, here's the kicker. One reader admitted finding Ophelia annoying but loving her anyway, then discovered the author gave Ophelia their same son and moon signs and went, oh. Astrology. The ultimate justification for questionable character traits. It wasn't bad writing, it was the stars.
An astrological defense. Unusual. So based on these conflicting reports, strong, sarcastic, relatable, and annoying, bitchy, moody, stupid, what exactly is Ophelia Grimm?
Clearly. She's a sentient mood ring trapped in a haunted vending machine that only dispenses sarcasm and questionable life choices, and maybe occasionally saves her sister between phantom make-out sessions. It's the only logical explanation based on these passionate reader accounts.
A sentient mood ring vending machine. Right, moving on to the reader reactions themselves. There were notable quirks, beyond the astrological justifications.
Oh, the readers. Bless their chaotic hearts. We had the standing ovulation philosopher, of course. Then there was the person admitting, if you saw me giggling and kicking my goddamn feet the entire time. No, you didn't. The sheer denial. The relatability.
There were direct contradictions in experience, too. One reader states, there was not a slow moment in this book. Another counters, this book started out so slow. The first 30% were an absolute snooze fest.
Snooze fest versus non-stop action ton. Were they reading the same book? Or perhaps one reader accidentally picked up a tax code manual for the first third. It happens. And originality. First genuinely unique book since One Dark Window, says one. Another yawns, felt like I'd read it before, giving me Caraval X Throne of Glass X Souls, Trilogy X Kingdom of the Wicked vibes. Make up your minds, people. Is it groundbreaking or derivative fan fiction?
One reader seemed particularly exercised by the repetitive use of the words insidious and deadpanned. Wrote quite extensively on the subject.
Obsessed. Fixated. I bet that reader now sees the word insidious lurking in their soup. It's probably whispering plot points to them. Forget the phantom. The adjective is the real villain. And someone else declared themselves cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because they like to pretend books are trophies. Which, they added emphatically, they are. I respect the conviction.
Trophies. Right. These readers certainly experienced the book intensely. The plot points, particularly the trials, generated strong feelings. They were called unique, creative, terrifying, addicting.
Terrifying. One reader confessed they would have pissed my pants during a trial. Another mentioned a true or false trial specifically. Imagine the pressure. True or falses. Is this phantom genuinely into me, or just manipulating me for freedom while I might die horribly? Multiple choices for cowards.
The stakes were described as high, which brings us to the graphic content warnings mentioned frequently by reviewers. There was considerable commentary on the violence and gore.
Ah yes, the splash zone. Reviewers tossed around words like bloody, gory, gruesome, violence, death. Comparisons were made. Not just Hunger Games, but Saw movies, Saw. One person even wondered if it exceeded Tarantino levels. Were people reading this book or attending a splatter film festival? Maybe taking notes for particularly aggressive home decorating.
The descriptions suggest a significant level of intensity, plenty of blood and guts, one warned. Creative ways to die, noted another. It seems the horror aspect of this horror romantasy is not understated.
Definitely not. So, listeners, quick poll, inspired by the swirling vortex of opinions here. That bargain Ophelia makes early on, trading years of her life for phantom help. Desperate times, desperate measures. Or just monumentally foolish deal-making with a potentially shady ghost. Let us know. Blackwell probably sweetened the deal with spectral snacks. Ecto Cooler, perhaps.
Spectral snacks, unlikely. Despite the chaos and gore, certain elements received consistent praise. The Gothic atmosphere, for instance. Immaculate Gothic vibes, creepy Manor descriptions, spooky, immersive.
Immaculate vibes. So pristine. Which makes the other big discussion point even funnier: the spice. How can the vibes be immaculate if things are getting messy? People praised the spice, called it spicing, well-written, hot. One person, who doesn't even like spice usually, said the author killed it. Someone else was particularly taken by clothes just falling off. Poof, magic dove. Or static cling, maybe.
Yet, conversely, others found the spice scenes cringy, out of place, forced. One reader memorably quipped, smut after every near-death experience. The timing seemed questionable to some.
Questionable? It sounds like whiplash. I almost died. Oh no, another deadly trap, see? It's emotional multitasking. This segment on questionable post-trauma intimacy is brought to you by Awkward Moments. Memorial plates commemorate that time you nearly died and immediately got busy. Collect them all.
Right. Another consistently praised element was the OCD representation. Reviewers called it stellar, perfect, haunting, beautiful, raw, and well executed. Many noted its centrality to the story and respectful handling, often mentioning the author's own experience. One quote, "Made me feel like someone pulled out the inner workings of my brain."
Raw vulnerability amidst the haunted chaos, like finding a perfectly organized sock drawer in the middle of a poltergeist infestation. It's unexpected and commendable, according to readers. Though, organizing your thoughts when a phantom is whispering sweet nothings and trying to kill you simultaneously, that's advanced level coping right there. And let's not forget Poe, the ghost cat.
The ghost cat. Frequently mentioned with affection. MVP, one reader declared. Bestest cat, proclaimed another. A sassy ghost cat.
MVP, most valuable pussycat, obviously. Or, most villainous plotter. I have a theory. What if Poe orchestrated the whole thing? The competition, the romance, the questionable spice timing. He's playing 4D chess while everyone else is just trying not to get impaled. It explains everything. Got an email here. Dear Heartbook Radio, the host is onto something. The summary clearly states reviewers called Poe MVP. It's code. The ending twist. All Poe. 5 stars for the feline fiend. 0 stars for the other host's inability to see the truth. Signed, a concerned catspiracy theorist.
Catspiracy theorist. Thank you for that. The ending, regardless of feline involvement, remains the epicenter of the shock reactions. My jaw was on the motherfucking ground, gasping for air, gad.
Air. I need air. Just thinking about the shock these readers experienced. Forget smelling salts, they needed portable oxygen tanks. Meanwhile, others were just like, yeah, saw that coming. Pass the popcorn. The duality.
It does seem to be the defining make or break point for many readers' final assessment, which brings us, inevitably, to the verdict, or verdicts, plural, given the evidence.
Evidence. This isn't a trial, it's a beautiful disaster. A Gothic funhouse mirror reflecting everyone's deepest desires and pet peeves. So, the final rating system has to match the madness. For Phantasma by Kaylie Smith, I give it, let's see, 4 giggling and kicking my feet moments, -2 instances of smut after near-death experience awkwardness, +1 MVP ghost cat, divided by the square root of standing ovulation. Final score. Confusingly haunted with a chance of swooning.
Right. Mathematically dubious rating. To summarize the reader feedback, more conventionally, Phantasma appears to be a highly polarizing Gothic romantasy, praised for its immersive atmosphere, unique trials, strong banter, and sensitive OCD representation, simultaneously criticized for potential insta-love, predictable twists by some, cringy or ill-timed spice by others, and a divisive protagonist, Gore and horror elements are significant.
So basically, it's a glorious mess that people either inhaled in one sitting while questioning their life choices or wanted to yeet into the nearest spectral void.
Yeet into the nearest spectral void. A concise summary of the negative reactions. Yes, it seems this book provokes strong feelings, positive and negative.
Exactly. Which means, dear listeners, you probably need to read Phantasma yourself, just to figure out which camp you belong in. The standing ovulation section, or the shitty re-sand fan fiction corner. The link is probably lurking somewhere insidious, like in the show description. If you dare.
Join us next time on Heart Book Radio when one host attempts to convince the other that a cookbook based entirely on fictional foods from 80s cartoons is high literature.
It's culinary art, and deeply symbolic. You wouldn't understand. This is one host.
And this is the other.
For Heart Book Radio, stay weird, bookworms.